Hello everyone. Welcome back to another Misfits Racing League broadcast. My name is Stryfium, and we are here for Tier 2 racing around the iconic Suzuka. It's the Japanese Grand Prix, and joining me for action as always is Unicorn. How you doing today, Unicorn?
Yeah, Striff, I'm looking forward to it. We're in those last few weeks of the championship now. Everything matters for a few of these drivers. We've got really a 3-horse race for this championship. And, well, we've got 5 rounds left, including this one. So it's very, very important for these drivers to score the most amount of points they can here around Japan, here at Suzuka. But that makes it a very, very exciting spectacle.
It's going to be a really fun race, and of course we're going to have the roll of the dice on weather this evening, and it's just going to be an awesome 18-minute qualifying 50% distance campaign for 27 laps around this iconic circuit. And well, we'll give you a good look at the circuit right now, as well as it's just an awesome place to drive. 18 turns, 5.8 kilometers, and it is the only figure 8 circuit, well, on the calendar. Suzuka, just a lot of fun, and we'll have to see how these tier 2 racers navigate it. Take a look at the calendar now. Of course, it's the 18th round out of 22 for this tier 2 grid, and we move ahead next week to the US. Following that, Mexico, Brazil, and then the final round in Abu Dhabi. Of course, massive shout out to our partners Next Level Racing. You can check them out via the link in the chat and the panels down below. And of course, we have a great event coming up where we'll be doing a giveaway running alongside it for a great opportunity to win a Next Level Racing F-GT Light Racing Cockpit. So get in on that exclamation event. And we still have 10 spots left if you're looking to sign up. 10 to 15, I believe. 10 to 15 spots left for that event if you're looking to get in there and get a few extra entries for participating to try and win that racing rig. And with that being said, it's time to jump into action. We take a look at these standings. Azir, Scars, Crampy, they are tight up in the top 3 slots of this championship. And I think this one might just go down to the final race, considering Scars has been on a hunt for that championship leadership position. And we'll take a look at the constructors. It's Alfa Romeo Williams trading places with McLaren there in 3rd. Henners is 11th position in that McLaren right now. Of course, a good chunk of the points over at McLaren being attributed by their former full-time driver, Neon, before he got promoted to the Tier 1 division. Now, just about ready to go racing here in Suzuka, and I just cannot wait for that roll of the dice on the weather.
Yeah, absolutely. It's critical around here that everything, you've got those S's at the start, and if it's raining, those are tricky enough to get right lap after lap in the dry, let alone in the wet. So it does play a pretty big role here, especially on the driver's mind. We always say a lot of people, they just solely practice dry. They don't always plan for wet. Here at Japan, it's quite likely that we see rain, although we've had a few weeks drift where we've expected rain this season and we just haven't seen it at all. We've had bone dry, just tracks all week long at tracks you might expect it. So we'll see whether Japan, throws a bit of spanner in the works. I know that there has been already a little bit of rain. And this week, I believe, in the Americas Tier 2, the end of that one. But we are ready. We've got everyone into the lobby, so we can get everyone readied up. And racing can commence. And like you said, that roll of the dice can obviously take hold, and we'll see what we get.
Waiting for these the ready ups to come through from the drivers.
Yeah, the message just gone out. The check's coming through, and we do have a full grid of 20 today. 18 full-time drivers with just 2 reserves, both sitting in the McLaren seats.
We have had now 2 very exciting races around here. Tier 3, well, actually 3. America's Tier 2 on the Monday evening, which premiered yesterday on the, of course, the Tier 3. And then the America's Tier 1 division. 3 very, very different races. Safety cars and things of the sort. And I've just apparently lost connection to here on my end. So that is not good. Hoping that was just a quick flip of the steam on my end here, and I'm not able to get back in. You're able to get me.
Yeah, fingers crossed. It looks like the lobby is still stable, so we'll get you an invite as soon as everything is dialed in. But if not, if we have got problems, at least it's coming early in the session rather than, 17 minutes in.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
But fingers crossed it is just a case of getting a new invite and everything will be rectified. I think Steam is still stable. Obviously, that's had a few issues over the last couple of days, but here we are. We've had that all throughout the season. A couple of problems here and there with Steam, completely out of our hands, but at the moment, looking very sunny here as we load in to Japan. There we are. There's an invite for you, and fingers crossed that works. And it looks like it has. So marvelous stuff here already for what looks like a very, very sunny Suzuka. It is apparently dry. So no rain this evening expected.
Big sigh of relief for all of the drivers whenever there's a dry campaign. Because as you said, majority of the practicing that gets done, the preparation that's taken is in the dry.
Absolutely. You want to be confident in the dry conditions because that is, where you want to be able to compare your pace. And because everyone does a lot more running in the dry, it's a very useful tool, as Tuptus appears to be the first out of the pit lane, the Racing Point driver, 8th in the standings. And we have such an exciting midfield battle here in Tier 2. And that means that it's not only those 3 guys up at the top fighting for the championship that'll be looking to maximize points here. It's all of these people engaged in a very, very tight midfield where, a podium could see someone skyrocket at least 5 places in some of these positions that they are right now. We've got 3 people on 20 points. We've got 2 on 44. We've got a couple on 36. It's so tight in and around this grid. And that makes these last 5 rounds all very, very exciting.
Well, we have Mark, Max O'Connor, Tuptus, Azir, Larsen, Scars, Onhel, Atom, not Daniel Monaf, a different Atom. Of course, we knew him as Atom at the beginning of the season, and now we have TRT Atom in 8th position on the timing tower presently. Eruption, Lil Shen, we have Crampy, Rackety, Ari Santiago, XTXP, Pavel, and it's great to see XTXP back as well. He's missed a few races. John, Aliens, Swifty, Hugh Sam, and we have Darian Alfie back as well over at Ferrari.
Yeah, Tuptus now starting his flying lap here in Suzuka, running down to turn 1. That huge CRS straight, bringing in a lot of speed here, coming through into turn 2. The double right-hander starting off the lap, then, of course, into the S's in the Racing Point. It is so crucial to get these right. Turns 3 all the way through 7 into that Dunlop curve, and that's this one right here, just swinging in as early on the power as you can, avoiding the outside, holding it to the inside, then into the Degner curve, turn 8 into turn 9 now, keeping as much speed as you can through this very, very flowing circuit, but it can all be so wrong if you just get one a little bit wide through the hairpin then at turn 11. And the fast right-hander of turn 12, which just is this flat-out section all the way down into the spoon curve, which starts at turn 13 here for the Racing Point, and then exits through 14 here. A little bit heavy on the brakes mid-corner. Realized he was carrying a bit too much speed there. That will impact the exit speed, but it might not impact him too badly here specifically, as this is obviously a banker lap time. Now all the way down towards turn 15, and then of course 16, 17, 18, the Casio triangle. All of this combining to create a lap, a 126 flat for Tuptus, opening up here. Lil Shen though, a 126 flat, just 600ths of tenths faster than Tuptus, and then Pavel, a 125 and 125.6 from Larsen. Times already started to crumble here in the early stages of this qualifying here at Suzuka.
Here comes Crampy in the Alfa Romeo now to the line, and that's 6th position for him. Scars is coming through 200R, and he is going to be heading into Spoon. Who else has come through to set a time here? We've had Swifty, Max, Husam, as well as XTXP jump into this timing tower. And now Scars, a driver who's fighting for potential lead or win of this championship, will be moving through into 130R. Angel takes 6th on the timing tower in the Red Bull.
Yeah, absolutely. Scars, he has really come into his own in the second half of the season, and he's hunting down Azir, and he's doing quite well to close that gap. P3 right now, 125.979, just 4 thousandths behind Pavel there, and 3/10 behind Larsen. Larsen, very strong lap time right now for him. He'll be happy that he's sitting on provisional pole right now.
Well, Larsen's a very capable driver. We know him, of course, having formerly been he was supposed to drive Tier 1 this season. We can think back, he had to switch inputs after some issues, and now he's on the wheel, and he's getting himself back up to speed. He knows these circuits, and he's just getting himself up to terms with getting the input sorted out, and him and his teammate here are in the top 10. Larsen and Mark.
Yeah, both doing very, very well right now. Look at how close it is from 2nd down to 6th. That top, it would be the top 5 if Larsen wasn't there. Just all within, about 2/10 of each other. Extremely tight up and down this grid, but Larsen's time yet to be beaten. Darian Alfie back into the pit stop after an invalidated lap. Aliens, I don't know if he's just had an issue. I think he might have spun coming out of turn 2. So not what the Williams driver will be wanting to have happened, of course, but
checking in
really
with
slow things down.
Gara Santiago. He's just invalidated his teammate RT Atom. They're in a 26.495, but he had an issue through the hairpin. I saw a lot of dust getting kicked up. Aliens, of course, as you mentioned, aborting that lap, and nobody else on active runs. A little bit of a calm die down period. Pretty well everybody in the pit lane here, nobody on outlaps. Aliens, he could very well have fuel to go again, but of course that front right wing is in a bit of a state where he has not a lot of it left.
Yeah, and I think it'll be the case that he, limps that one back down to the pit lane, and we always say it, but a crash in qualifying is just a huge knock to the driver's confidence ahead of a 50% race, because if you crash in 18 minutes, the race usually lasts about 45. That's over double the time in qualifying here to make that same incident, and obviously even more time out on the track. As Aliens' teammate Azir, championship leader, he still holds the most wins in the division, the most podiums, but he has been being caught over the last few weeks. He had a bit of a rough run of form in the mid part of this season, coming out of that Easter break that we had, and he's been caught quite substantially by Scars. Starting to get back to where we saw him, very, very composed over the last couple of weeks, but still, Scars has been putting in a lot of work to get to where he needs to be in a position that he can win this championship. Azir today really needs to push to try and find 25 points to just extend that lead and give himself a nice little cushion to the Alfa Romeo behind. He's been in the top 4 for the last 3 weeks, just narrowly missing out on the podium last week, but 2nd and 3rd prior to that. So he is getting back into those high point scoring positions, and he needs another one of those finishes here tonight, and he starts his first flying lap of the session.
Taking his time to get set up for this lap, and you can see some traffic pulled off to the inside there. Always good to see everybody respecting the track, and that is not what you want to be doing on your run. He's just ran it, and that is an invalidated run.
And he's waited a long time as well, Striff. He, we're under the 10 minutes on our side. I reckon it's probably just over the 10 minutes on the driver's clock, but still, that does not give him a lot of time to get a lap in here. It's not a particularly short time. It's, just under those 1:30s, so it's not like a track like Austria where it's, just over 1 minute you could get easier, comfortable 4 runs in if you need to. But here, when you've only got 10 minutes left on the clock or so, he doesn't have a huge amount of time to bring this back to the pits and go out for another run and then do the same again. We'll see what the Spaniard can do, but it's not a good start to his weekend. There's more people now on flyers. You've got Larsen, you've got Pavel, you've got Scars just starting a lap as well. All of the top drivers on the time tower right now are going for their second run, while AEST just invalidated his first. So he's putting himself at a real disadvantage here tonight, Striff.
Yeah, I agree with you. We're taking a look at Pavel. He's currently second on this timing tower. He's coming out of the Casio triangle. He's going to run it tight to that inside now to the line, and it's going to be an improvement, but it's not enough to take care of Larsen. Top Tuss, however, right behind him, does take care of the AlphaTauri. The racing point at 25.613. The margin, 65 milliseconds.
Well, Striff, if I was Top Tuss, I would be very worried if I knew what Larsen was about to produce. He has just got nearly 3/10 up coming out of sector 2. We'll see what the time is as he shakes a little bit coming out of the Casino Triangle, or the Casio Triangle, and there it is.
Oh, wow.
He didn't gain any time through sector 3, but he didn't lose any, more importantly, and a 125.3 again puts him at the top by 3/10 clear of his nearest rival, and he has really come here to show us his stuff, Striff, and he is absolutely nailing this circuit.
Crampy goes 6th. Trying to find my words here. Crampy goes 6th. Scars now. His teammate is coming through. What's Scars able to do? It's P2 at 25.570. And this is really starting to get tight in the top 10. If not, the entirety of this grid is about to get really bunched up here in Japan.
Yeah, Freeware coming across in the chat with a little statistic there. That lap from Larsen is 0.004 of a tenth better than our previous track record. So he in the AlphaTauri now holds the new MRL track record for the time being. We'll see whether anyone could snatch this title, but whatever pole is, it will be the new track record. Obviously, if that's the case, Tier 1 stands that it could be beaten tomorrow, but either way, it's an impressive achievement here, and we're not even in the final 5 minutes when lap times should, in theory, get quicker. So watch that AlphaTauri and watch that pole position time, because it could be very, very impressive by the end of this session. Jean getting a nice tow from his teammate Husam there as he comes through 130R into the Casio Triangle. We'll see what he can produce in the Haas, currently sitting in 10th on 126.2. A 10th improvement would see him jump a couple of places. Let's see what he's got. It's a 5/10 improvement.
Wow.
And Jean into 4th place. A brilliant, brilliant lap time from the Haas. That slipstream would appear to have really, really helped him. We'll see whether he repays the favor in the later stages. I'm not sure if he did on his outlap. I wasn't on board with the 2 Haas drivers, but it wouldn't surprise me if they did. But great teamwork from that team. We'll see whether anyone else follows suit.
There goes Mark now. He's on his way into the final chicane. The AlphaTauri very, very tight to the inside curbing. Using as much of it as he can. Tight now to the line. What's it going to be for him? It's 6th. It's a near 4/10 improvement.
Swifty comes back to the pits. He is in on an invalid run, so won't be too happy, but he's got time to get out there for one final run. Azir, he's back out on a flyer in the Williams. His teammate not too far ahead, and I don't think he's flying, so we might be seeing... Oh, he's actually lost an end plate somewhere, so hasn't been a great start to qualifying for Aliens nor Azir, but Aliens, he's had contact with the wall now twice, it would seem, unless he got that damage off of another car, which you'd hate to see. But here comes Azir, no slipstream for the 2 Williams, and that makes sense if the car ahead is damaged. Obviously, you don't want him to impede the lap of the teammate now. Azir coming through Spoon. And when he crosses that timing line at the end of this straight,
oh, it's Angel.
So here of Angel.
Well, these two know each other, that's for sure, and Azir not getting a tow off of Aliens, but he's certainly got one off of Angel there. Viva España, I think, is what the team radio is sounding like right now. And there goes P2 for the Spaniard. It's a 25.555 onto the front row here for Azir.
15 thousandths faster than Scars, and that's a very, very important time because these two, they're the championship frontrunners, and now they sit basically identically on that timing tower, but it'll be Azir who right now will have the smile on his face. Scars, he should have another lap though to beat the Spaniard. We'll see whether he's got enough in the tank to do so. Angel, well, we just saw him give a little slipstream to his fellow countryman. He's just invalidated his run coming out of Degner and into turn 9. So very, very unfortunate for the Red Bull driver. Yar Santiago reserving in the McLaren. He's flying, coming down towards 130R. We'll see what he can produce on his first lap if he gets it across the line. I don't know whether he's invalidated his earlier attempts. That would make the most sense to me as he takes a lot of the curve on the inside, coming through turn 17, but it is still valid. And there he goes, P12 for the McLaren at 126.269 there. So a strong lap from him.
Pavel coming through the hairpin. He's looking to be on a minor improvement, but you take everything you can get at this phase of the qualifying session. He's on his way into Spoon.
And I think he's gone here just to get himself some clear air. He doesn't want to be involved in all the traffic. Traffic around here can be really detrimental. You know, it's hard for a car to get out of the way through the S curves. Obviously, there are points where you can pull off. He's actually down in his time, though, as he comes into the final sector. We'll see whether there's time to be gained for the Ferrari in the Castillo Triangle. And, well, it's not to be. He pulls it into the pit lane. Maybe just wants to save those tires a little bit in case he has to go onto them at some point during this race. But disappointing end to the session for sure for the Ferrari there. He might have time. God, again, depending on the desync on the clock, but we'll never know. Crampy's flying. We'll see what the Alfa Romeo driver can produce here.
Just saw Atom in the McLaren 14th on the timing tower. He ran into a little bit of traffic. Could have unsettled him through into the first Degner. He ran invalid on the inside. So he will not be improving on his current run. And we'll, as you said, Crampy's on the move. And he's going to be coming through into Sector 2 very shortly here. Into the meat of that traffic. And we'll have to see what happens as he makes his way out of Spoon shortly. Because that's where I think things might just start to get congested on the way through in 30R.
Yeah, you can see on the chat map that you've just got these sort of groups of cars, and that's not what you want at all if you're on an active flyer now. Crampy skips past Larsen. There's that Larsen there, really playing the waiting game. He knows there's traffic ahead, and Crampy is up a pretty huge margin here.
Oh!
In the middle of the road, and Crampy will not be happy with that one at all. Ran straight into the back of him. I imagine he was expecting him to get out of the way there. And that's qualifying over for Crampy.
Yeah, that's not going to be an improvement for him. And there's some penalties that were handed down there. His teammate Scars. Well, everybody wants to see what this man is capable of. Larsen has just begun a lap behind him, the provisional pole sitter in the AlphaTauri. So what can Scars do? And what has Larsen got in the AlphaTauri? And we have Azir on another opportunity to get himself into pole as well.
Yeah, it's always lovely to see a qualifying session, because this one, we've got a lot of people here capable of taking this pole, and they've proved it so far with the gap that we've got. Right now, Larsen seems to be the clear favourite, but on this last few laps, it all comes down to this. Scars nearly a 10th up right now. That would see him beat Azir. It would not see him beat Larsen. So right now, only good enough for P2. Has he found enough time through the final sector to get provisional pole? He hasn't. He found more time, but only good enough to beat the Spaniard.
For
Larsen
now.
getting a nice toe.
Look at this. Max O'Connor. What a toe he's getting out of the Mercedes. Larsen now through the chicane. What's this time going to be? This is going to be huge, I think. Well, he doesn't improve. Tuptus goes fastest with a 25.272. Larsen won't improve on it, and Azir is the last driver here I think with potential to maybe do something about it, but it's going to have to all come down to what he finds through out of Sector 2 and what he finds in Sector 3. The Spanish driver in the Williams, he is improving through Sector 2. Will it be enough to get himself in that front row? Coming through the chicane now. The Williams powering out, hugging it tight to the line. He improves, but he does not move ahead.
And Sean, I think it was the last person like to fly. He calls it in. So very, very interesting qualifying. Tuptus sneaking in at the end after a bit of misfortune for the last laps of a few of these drivers here. Sneaks into pole with an extraordinary lap, a 125.272, our new MRL track record. Larson, well, he was holding it for a few minutes there, but that crown has been stolen by the Racing Point when he does start on the front row. Scars, though, he beats Azir. It may only be the second row, but it is for the championship. And when he needs to beat Azir by a little bit more than third compared to fourth, because he's got a 32-point gap to chase down in the next 5 weeks.
It's going to be a very tight championship now. And we look at this grid. Tuptus, Larson, Scars, your top three. Tuptus, the Racing Point with pole position at 25.272, a tenth ahead of Larson, and just 0.136 ahead of the South African and Scars. Azir, fourth position for him right behind him, and it's Mark rounding out the top 5. And we'll just have to see how all of these drivers, extremely tight in this grid, get on for this 50% distance campaign now. Of course, we'll go through the rest of this grid with you on the formation lap. Massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. You can check out their website for some awesome sim racing rigs, wheel stands. They have some motion sims as well. And we also have a great event coming up where we will be doing a giveaway alongside it, where we are giving away a Next Level Racing cockpit. It is the F-GT Lite, and that event will be taking place very soon. We have just about 10 to 15 spots left to drive, and if you do participate in the tournament, well, you just get yourself extra participation entries for that giveaway. So it's a real great opportunity, and it's going to be a lot of fun. So check out !event or visit our website, misfitsrl.com. Of course, welcome to Suzuka. My name is Strifium here from Canada, and joining me for all of it, well, Unicorn, looking quite overcast here.
Yeah, we were predicted a dry race according to the weather forecast, but clouds definitely here above Suzuka. Whether we see rain at the end of things, if a safety car drags things out, well, only time will tell. You know, we might see this cloud coverage completely evaporate by the time we get to the later stages. Safety cars, though, while we're on the topic, definitely possible here around this Japanese circuit. You know, it's a tricky one to get right lap after lap, especially if you're side to side with another car. So all very, very important, you know, to think about when you're driving in these races. Top 10 all on softs, of course, and we have a lot of mediums outside of it. One sole harder on it in Aliens there in 20th place, and Atom and Yar Santiago, both the McLaren reserves, going for the softs outside the top 10 as well. So interesting tyre strategies, but most people here on that soft tyre, and a lot of other drivers going for the medium soft, you would think, as the reverse strategy.
The softs can be very strong when you're in the back 10. Aliens, the only driver on the hards, is going to be a very interesting call out of the Williams squad. And I want to see how that pans out at the start of the race. Tuptus, Larson, Scars, Zier. Mark, your top 5 with John, Pavel, Husam. We have Lil Shen, Crampy rounding out the top 10. All of those drivers on the softs. Darian, well, he's in 11th. The Ferrari on the mediums. Yara Santiago, TRT Adam, 12th and 15th respectively in the McLarens, and they are both on softs. Eruption, XTXP 13th and 14th respectively on mediums. Rackety, Max, Angel, Swifty, all on the mediums from 16th through 19th, with Aliens bringing out the rear again on those hards. And that is a very interesting strategy for the McLarens. I think at least I find for BR Santiago, I feel like he could have been okay on the mediums. Adam, I think it makes a little bit more sense for him to be on the softs, try and make up some positions. The hards. We'll just have to see what aliens can do here. Maybe just go, like you said, that reverse strategy.
Well, definitely those tires will take him a lot longer than anyone else here, and it gives him a lot of flexibility as well for a safety car. You can, if it's a fairly early one, might be able to sneak onto a set of mediums, and if it's a late one, well, you can take those tires all the way to a late safety car and go to some softs. So it does work out in that favor, but we're just about ready here, Striff, for this Japanese Grand Prix here at Tier 2.
I'm very excited for this racing. Let us know in the chat who you've got on this podium. Let us know who you want to win this one. Welcome to Japan. It's Suzuka and Unicorn. Take us away.
Well, there we go. We've got 5 red lights here on in Japan. There's a little bit of desync, but the engines are revving in. It's away we go here at Suzuka. It's a great start for Pavel. The Ferrari shot off the line compared to everyone else. As here, Scars, they're exchanging already the championship rivals side by side as they come through turn 1. The Williams on the inside. Scars, though, has the inside line as they come down towards turn 3. The first of the CEST is sliding all over the place. He can't catch it, and he is into the grass. Scars is in, and there's been a massive crash behind them. There's an end plate flying there. We've got a safety car already, and that was completely separate. It looks like the Renault of XTXP was involved. Angel as well in the Red Bull is missing an end plate. Actually, more than just an end plate. So there's been a big hit somewhere. I think a little Constantina of people just trying to avoid Scars there, who was trying to catch that slide, and he nearly got it. He caught it the first time, but he just counter-steered into a slide on the other hand and into the grass, and he's all the way down in rear of this grid. No damage for the South African, but either way, this is bad news for his championship campaign.
Well, this is really bad news, like you said, and the fortunate silver lining here is that he does not have damage. There is going to be a significant chunk of drivers on this grid that I believe do have damage that will be coming in, giving him maybe a potential to move up positions if he opts to stay out on these softs. Now, on the opening safety cars that I have seen this week, I think we had one in the Tier 2 Americas division, the drivers that started the race on the softs did not come in.
Yeah, I think the tire strategy around here, you'd have to go. You know, it's not like Russia last week where you can take mediums to the end. It would be a case of taking those hards. Tire wear a lot worse as Mark. Well, he is coming in. Let's see what the AlphaTauri's got in store. Unless this is for a front wing change. What's he hopping onto here? It is hards and no front wing change.
A straight tire switch out of the AlphaTauri garage, and this is a very, very interesting development.
Well, Yar Santiago, he just came in and pitted for mediums, and he started on the soft, so that's a very bold call from the McLaren. Scars, well, he came in, he's opted to take advantage of this pit lane, or pit stop under the safety car. He rolls out in 14th place. So the damage here on the other cars, because he was able to catch back up due to the safety car, it's actually benefited him quite nicely, because now he's going to take these hards all the way to the end, you'd imagine. Unless, of course, there's another safety car. But he is now in 14th place. He was 20th a moment ago on softs and would have to do a lot of work. Now he sits 14th. There's only 2 people ahead of him who don't have to pit, just like him. And given qualifying, he should have the pace on those 2 drivers. Obviously, this is the race. It's a little bit different. And overtaking is a little bit tricky at this track. But for Scars, it didn't start well, but it's not over for him, and he could still score a decent number of points here, and that's very important, not only for himself, but of course for Alfa Romeo, who are moments away from clinching the Constructors' Championships too. So Scars still very much alive in this race, and 14 points, P14 right now, you could translate to a lot of points at the end of things.
Definitely, definitely, and this has been a very interesting race start for Tier 2. I can't say I was actually expecting to see anything like that on the opening laps of this race, and I imagine quite a few of the drivers weren't. Just the slightest, I think, exchange between the 2 drivers, and once he had that car starting to rotate on him, it was very difficult to try and get it corrected. And as you said, safety car for Scars. Well, it wasn't as a result of what happened to him, it was as a result of something that happened further behind that exchange.
Yeah, XTXP pitting now. And I think this is actually quite a good call here, Striff, because he's going to lose a lot of positions, but he might have done it anyway as a result of, I don't think he was that high up in terms of position after the safety car got called out. He was giving a few back, I think, saying, sort of sorry for the incident. I wonder whether he was directly involved, because he did lose quite a long portion. But the hard hit, they can go to the end. It's a little bit of a stretch, though. Pitting a lap, we're now on lap 3. He gives himself just a little bit less risk in the tyre strategy. So what XXP's done here, he's lost a couple of positions here as a result. Whereas if he'd have pitted the last lap when, most people did. But it means he can extend that tyre. So not a bad call from the Renault squad. We'll see where that takes him in this race. But it does mean he has to do quite a lot of overtaking to get into the points. But he's got a lot of people ahead of him. Yar Santiago, Rackety, Angel, Swifty, who didn't pit for these hards. They will have to pit before the end of this race, whatever happens.
Well, surely we will be coming in now for green flag racing on the 4th lap of this 27 lap campaign. Top Tuss, Lars and Azir, your top 3, of course. A good chunk of the drivers. Well, half the grid has yet to pit. Safety car on the opening lap in the first sector, presenting a very interesting scenario for this race.
Yeah, you can see everyone warming their tires there. And there it is. Race control calling it in. And we'll see what Top Tuss has in store in terms of the safety car restart. Some idiot coming across in the chat and saying that it was a team decision to send X6P around again. Rackety pitted with a 5-second penalty ahead, so he didn't want to get double stacked. Would have thrown him to the back anyway, so may as well go for the 1 lap fresher tires.
Top Tuss is gone.
And there goes the racing point. He's done that so well, so that was a beautiful restart.
All right, Max O'Connor at him for 8th position right now. This is one of the tightest gaps that we're seeing unfold here. Nobody else is going to have an opportunity. Adam trying to hold Max. He goes a little bit deep through turn 1. Max O'Connor looks for the inside. Nothing just yet coming out of the Mercedes, and that was tight. Santiago now in the rear of Scars. Scars really wanting to push through this grid. He's got Lil Shen and Mark up ahead of him on the same tires. He doesn't want to be dealing too much with Santiago here, even though he's got the quicker tires behind him.
Yeah, not too much exchanging there. I think Rackety, Darian, Alfie, the only exchange that I saw. The Renault and the Ferrari.
Santiago,
on the tires.
He's looking at the inside of Scars. He's now around the outside as we come through deep into the hairpin. Who's going to have the better exit? Scars for the moment. Santiago now really trying to sit on the rear of this Alfa Romeo.
Yeah, things at the front already starting to settle
Aliens
a little
has
bit.
had an issue. What's happened to the Williams? Does he have any damage on that front end? He does not. But he has had to pull offline here to let the entirety of this grid through.
And thrown a 10-second penalty there as well. I wonder whether, obviously I don't think we saw the whole thing there, but I think that seems a little unfair for him. But there is a huge break in this grid right now. You can see it between Max O'Connor and Mark. 3 seconds there between 9th and 10th. So 2 very much dominant trains here as Scars hunts down Lil Shen for 11th down into turn 1. Doesn't find anything there as Aliens calls its quits in the pit lane.
Very unfortunate early end for one of the Williams drivers here.
Things just remaining very sort of stable. Top Tuss already dancing on that 1-second window ahead of Larson and breaking the DRS this early on. When we don't even have it is very, very powerful. This is the time you need to get that run. The safety car restart for the Racing Point was near on perfect. He faked it coming out of the Casio triangle and then just floored it before he did actually got to the straight. Really caught Larson off guard. When you go just moments after the place where the driver behind expects you to go, that's when you catch the most guard.
Angel. Angel on the inside of Rackety into Spoon. It's tight right now. He's gone a little bit deep. Rackety looking for a switchback on the inside. There's a little bit of contact. Angel with the softs with a serious exit over the Renault. They're wheel-to-wheel having a drag race coming through. Up into 130R. They're on the rear of Eruption. And of course, Rackety not going to be thrilled that he's lost a position, but Angel trying to do everything he can on these softs. And there's going to be a big train on the rear of Mark that Angel might just have a good opportunity to move through with this better rubber.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the difference in the softs versus the other tires just based upon the top 8 running away. And, you know, Max O'Connor's dropping off the back as well. There's the difference between the mediums, the softs, and the hards. It's all very well illustrated right now in the grid that we do have. And, well, as a result, you saw it there. Rackety didn't really put up a fight to Angel. He knows that's not something that he needs to be doing. Angel should just be naturally faster on that compound of tire by quite a margin. So for the Renault, better to just let that one go. Wait until he gets him in the pit lane, which should happen, but Rackety has to pit again as well. So very interesting, the different strategies that early safety car presented, particularly for those with damage who are sort of forced to pit. What do you go for? Hards to the end and risk being slow throughout, or, you know, hope to go a little bit faster with some mediums, some softs now, but then be slower at the end of the race because you've got to take another pit stop. So very, very interesting dynamic, but most people still have to pit on this grid. Only about 6 drivers who could take their tires to the end, and even then it won't be comfortable. So still a lot of action here. We're on lap 6, we're about to be on lap 7 already, and things just have been a big, just 2 trains, but starting to sort of catch up. Jean on the rear of Pavel. Can he do anything? I think the Haas just a little bit too far back on a car that also has DRS for the car in front. That's Husam, of course, the other Haas driver. Pavel right in between the two, so nothing doing there.
Just on board with Rackety right now. He's trying to keep with Angel on these softs, and Angel really hasn't been able to do anything about Eruption in front of him. He's just kind of locked behind this Mercedes, and the longer he's locked behind the Mercedes, the less time he'll have, we'll say, to push with the tires. Here's Jean just sitting on Pavel coming through the second Degner, and it's Jean's teammate Husam just ahead of the Ferrari.
And I think, you know, there's a lot of teamwork that can come of this. And Jean has a really powerful advantage in terms of ERS. The 2 cars ahead of him in that 30 to 40% range. Jean, he's over 80%. So here, he could really push if he wants to. I think, though, he's just biding his time a little bit, waiting for a better opportunity when Pavel won't have a great defense. Burns a little bit off as they go down into 130R. And that's driver. A lot of the, you know, cards in his favor right now, really pointing to Jean.
I think Azir's primed for a move. He is. Azir, the Spaniard. Larson has no rear wing open. Here goes the Spaniard on the inside. Down into turn 1. The AlphaTauri does not stand a chance. And that is the move done.
Now the question is here, does Azir have the pace to keep up with Toptus, as Toptus' teammate Chen is fighting off track with Scars, and Scars just about rejoins behind Yar Santiago. And it's not been a great race for the South African. He's still fighting on here and still very much on for points. No damage for either car, but not quite sure why they were fighting in the runoff there. Azir is actually gaining on Toptus, though, looking back up the front. So for the Williams, this is great news. He's got past. He's slingshot himself into range of the Racing Point. Rackety gets past Eruption, who
I think Angel did as well.
Angel
also got past that Mercedes. He has not been having a good time of it here on lap 8. Right now, Jean sticking with Pavel as we come into Spoon. It's less than 3/10, and there's a big kick up of gravel coming out of the Ferrari. Jean very tight. Oh, that could have been very bad had there been any contact. But Jean really wanting 5th position right now to catch up with his teammate.
Yeah, he's not forcing the move, though, and that's something you love to see. Angel, well, he's quite close to little Shen. And the softs here have really been affording him a lot of extra traction. We'll see what they can do through the Casio triangle. A lot of grip here. Crampy, he's into the pit lane nice and early in that Alfa Romeo. Maybe going for the 2-stop here. Maybe a soft, medium for him. We'll see what he opts for. But you can see that it is. I think he's going for the soft, medium. Here goes on hell on the inside into turn 1 on the racing board. And look at the traction shift. The softs just afford the Red Bull the grip he needs to go through on the inside of Lil Shen. Nothing the Racing Point could do there. Brilliant move from Angel, and these softs that are working for him now. We'll see whether the pit strategy works out for him in the grand scheme of things.
That was a solid move there. We had a pretty solid view of it as well, and now, well, Angel is going to get what he can out of these softs, out of these harder compound runners for the time being, and you still have all the soft runners that started the race on their tires yet to come in, just 1 through 7th position.
Jean, again, I'm getting deja vu. The amount of times I've seen this scene here between Jean just being so close to the Pavel as they come out of spoon and then dropping a little bit back, but just reserving the ERS. Look, the loss on the Haas of Husam is absolutely incredible. He is down. He was in single digits before the Casio triangle there. You know, Pavel, he's burnt off a good percent as well, and there goes the Haas. He follows Larson into the pit, so the pit window now well and truly on here. People reacting to Crampy's earlier pit stop. We'll see whether the undercut works for the Alfa Romeo driver. He was thrown all the way down to 19th position, last on of the still running cars. Husam, you can see there, dropping Larson as well, and Crampy, well, they're leaving the pit lane right now. Where is the Alfa Romeo? There's Husam. He won't get Larson, but it's side by side, and Crampy sweeps around the outside, just getting out ahead of the Haas driver. So for Crampy, that worked out quite nicely for him.
Well, Mark took Max O'Connor. Now, Mark on these 7-lap old hards, Max O'Connor on the starting mediums, and it was a nice move, easy move into turn 1. DRS, of course, coming through for the AlphaTauri there, and now they have Yar Santiago on the rear of them. Scars is here. There's a little bit of a gap between Scars and Angel, about 1.6.
Well, now the interesting thing is, what do the leaders do? If they don't pit, I think we're going to see Jean overtake Pavel into turn 1. But I imagine they are going to be forced to react to what the other front runners did. Look at the traction that Jean has for the Pavel. Jean coming in, Pavel's not. And Azir stayed out as well.
Very interesting call there by both drivers, I have to say, but that is Azir now leading this race. Pavel into 2nd position. Mark is now standing in 3rd. The thing with Mark is that he is on hards, and well, we'll just have to see what he's able to do with them in this race, as he had to come in very early.
Oh, you got Scars as well, currently sitting in 6th place on 8-lap old hards.
That's right.
And again, they are going to be able to make it to the end. It's just a case of their condition when they get there and the pace that they're able to carry. You've got Larson right now. He's caught already the rear of XCXP after his pit stop. The AlphaTauri all over the rear of the Renault as they approach the first Degner. And you can just see here the traction that Larson has in comparison to the Renault. Whether he can make a move here in through the hairpin, he might be able to a little bit later on the brakes.
Top Tuss is sitting on the rear of the AlphaTauri. XTXP holding up Larson right now. Top Tuss wants to get through on this AlphaTauri. Larson's looking at XTXP. I don't know if he even knows the racing points there. A little bit of contact. Angel's taking 3 seconds further up this grid. But this is very tight on the rear of the Renault. Here we go again. Top Tuss says bye-bye to Larson. Now XTXP right in front of him. Larson's going to get an opportunity to move through on the inside of 130R now. Top Tuss wanting to follow him through. What intensity we are seeing here. Does Top Tuss get this done? What else has happened? Pavel's into the pit lane, but this is just intensity between Top Tuss, XTXP, and Larson's now breaking away.
Yeah, well, here goes Tuftus now around the outside of the Renault. There's a Zero on the inside. This is important. And oh my goodness, Tuftus forced wide because of that car exiting the pit lane. Azir, nothing wrong there, but side by
This
side
is
with
massive
the third
for
car
Azir.
joining you. But Azir now sits ahead of Tuftus with traffic in between the two. An exchange up at the top. Scars gets past Yar Santiago. The hearts for him really starting to hurt. There's been a yellow flag. Who is that? It looks like the Ferrari. Oh, no, Swifty. Swifty's round through Dunlop.
Oh no, that's not good for the Red Bulls at all. Yellow flag through sector 1. We're going back to green now. Oh my, that was intense. Eruption on the rear of Rackety. Lil Shen on the rear of Angel. The train is in formation. Eruption locked and loaded here. He's looking for the Renault. Coming into Spoon. He thinks better of it. Top Tuss XTXP now. Are we going to see it come from these two? Yes, we are. The Racing Point on the inside. There's contact. Unicorn. That's the Racing Point facing the wrong way in Sector 2. He's going to come back on track now. It doesn't look like there's any damage.
This is unbelievable what we're seeing for the race leaders. It has not been a good day for a lot of them. And now, where we sit amidst a mix of tyre strategies, traffic is becoming a huge part of this race. But it's not backmarker traffic, it's just traffic. Azir now, he's going to fly past Darian Alfie. He's not worried about the traffic. He has had a stellar pit window because now he's on, fresh mediums. He's behind Larson by about 6/10 here, who's on 2-lap older mediums. And that means at the end of this race, the Spaniard is going to have such an advantage here. The only people he has to worry about now, really, apart from Larson, are, of course, those people on the hards who might be able to go to the end. One of them being his championship rival, Scars, who sits in P3 right now. But Mark as well, he's had incredible pace on those hards. And we'll see where he falls in the Mercedes, in the AlphaTauri, sorry, at the end of this one. They're separated by the Mercedes of Max O'Connor. You've still got Angel as well. Angel, well, he wasn't going particularly quick out of Spoon last lap. Lil Shen went for the run, didn't get it, and that allowed Rackety through on the outside of 130R. We'll see what happens this time as they come down to Spoon now. They've got Eruption on the rear of them, and they've got Larson catching them. But this is a very, very exciting pit window, and we are about halfway through this race, ladies and gentlemen. But we are far from over. Here we go, the run down into 130R. There's been an issue for the Assis John.
Oh, who's this coming through? Top Tuss now. It's tight between the two. Top Tuss surely is going to go around here. He's got to go off track. Who's that? That is the Alfa Romeo of Crampy trying to thread the needle, ladies and gentlemen. What the heck are we witnessing? It's 3 wide coming through into 130R, and that is the Haas dropping off the rear. Top Tuss, Crampy now, wheel to wheel. Holy, who's going to hold it? Top Tuss on the inside as we come through into the Casio Triangle. Crampy is through. He's going to have DRS. He's spun. He's gone into the... Oh my! There's been a huge crash. Crampy on the exit out of the chicane. Top Tuss has gone into him. Oh no.
That is unbelievable. Crampy, no damage. I think the bear of the damage there. Top Tuss miraculously only lost an end plate. I wonder... I don't think anyone really got massive damage. Oh, Jean. Jean is where those end plates were from. But my goodness, you saw it there. Jean, you saw Top Tuss just go around the outside, forced wide, coming out of Spoon. Crampy goes in the middle of them because they're both close. Crampy's trying again. He's off through the S's.
This is horrible for Crampy. Absolutely horrible in that Alfa Romeo, and it's horrible for Top Tuss as well, who has gone from having a stellar performance at the front of this grid to unfortunately getting caught up in some drama at the rear of it. This race, well, it's one of those races, Unicorn, that just keeps on giving. Lil Shen now, Rackety, tight as we come through into the chicane, nothing doing just yet.
Yeah, Eruption there, carrying a lot of speed through out of the Casio Triangle, though. What can he do? Lil Shen, though, great run of speed. Rackety, no DRS, of course, to defend against this. Mediums versus hards. It's at that switchover point, but Lil Shen runs very wide, and that lets Rackety back through. Allows him to defend the position on Eruption, just watching on, waiting patiently to try and get back past. And this, you said it there, one of those races that keeps on giving, but if you're one of the drivers, this has got to be, mentally very demanding, because especially if you've got an engineer telling you everything that's happening, because a lot of this is relevant to everyone, because there's so many different strategies here. The clouds, they haven't dissipated either. We have had a safety car. Toptus is out. He has recorded in the... Has he called it in the pit lane? That looks like it might be on the start-finish straight.
No, it's in the pit lane. It's in the pit
It is
lane.
in the
We're
pit
okay.
lane.
Breath of relief there. As well, we have seen it before. Henry had that one in Silverstone, where he was out on the start-finish straight.
Well, now it's all a battle between, well, the early one stop and the late one stop. Do the hards from the beginning safety car win this race, or is it some mediums that, you know, on a more traditional one-stop soft medium, or maybe even a two-stop, someone left field? Maybe one of these drivers who are at the top right now with the mediums get onto some softs. Late safety car propels them back to the top. We'll see. As a new prediction gets started, I do believe the old one, well, you know, you had Toptus qualify on pole. Obviously, he will not be winning this race now after sadly retiring in the pit lane. So we now have a new channel point.
Larson breathing down the neck of eruption, and I'm going to take us away from this for a second because Max O'Connor has someone in his rearview mirrors named Scars. And this is going to be a very, very serious charge for Scars around the outside as we come into the hairpin. That's Max O'Connor in the Mercedes wanting to hold that inside line, but Scars says doesn't matter what you try and hold. There's a little bit of a shake, a little bit of contact. They're wheel to wheel on the way through into Spoon now. It's going to be the inside for Max, surely. What happens here? There's still wheel to wheel. Scars around the outside. I don't know if he was able to keep both the left tires in there or not, but he is going to move ahead of that Mercedes into second position. Santiago now on the rear. He's going to have a look.
Yeah, carrying a nice bit of speed there. A little bit of ERS usage into the Castillo triangle. Maybe a lunge up the inside for the McLaren. Doesn't quite get it done, but the idea was there, and now that's scared Max.
Here goes Larson.
Oh, he's into the pit lane.
Larson, what a move through the Casio triangle. The AlphaTauri is going to get it done on Eruption, and Azir's there to maybe get it done on the pair of them. Azir gets Eruption. He gets the Mercedes, and he gets the AlphaTauri, and it is bye-bye. Or is it? There's contact, Larson, no! Oh, no. That is the AlphaTauri in round. The AlphaTauri is just spun.
Well, it's unfortunate, but for Azir, that takes a lot of weight off his shoulders. Because Larson, well, maybe his biggest competitor in this single race, is now free to just sort of hunt down his championship rival, and the rest of these guys who pitted under that safety car. He is on a lot fresher tire than all of the cars in front of him now. But we'll see what stewards have to say post-race. Of course, penalties can be applied for various incidents if people report them, but that one, it just seemed like a little bit of a racing incident. You know, it's two cars side by side for a tricky section of track. Sector 1, not the most forgiving place to overtake unless you get a clear-cut move down into the first corner. Side by side seems to always end badly, at least today. As Azir now hunting down Lil Shen. We'll see whether the traction he gets through the Castillo triangle is enough to reel him in to Lil Shen, who will have DRS on the rear of Rackety. But look at the braking. He's able to brake so much later than the Racing Point, and now this is a great run here. Rackety's into the point. That means Lil Shen will only get DRS, no slipstream. And look at the pace advantage for the Williams. Slides past the outside of the Racing Point, and there is absolutely nothing Lil Shen can do to defend that one. Azir now into the podium positions, and this is great news to defend his top spot in that championship.
Lil Shen in that Racing Point on the 15-lap old hards. He's going to have Hugh Sam closing that gap. Look at the gap between them. 2.2 right now. 7-lap old mediums for Hugh Sam. I imagine it won't be long before we see another overtake for the Haas.
About 9 laps left. The gap to leader is about 8 seconds for Azir. So just under a second a lap he has to catch. The tires very much in his favor to do so. especially if Scars catches up to Mark and decides to start a fight for P1 on track. Penalties as well, Striff. No one in, well, Larsen in the top 10 is the only one with penalties, but in terms of these guys at the top right now who look like they're going to win this race, if any one of them picks up a penalty, that could be a race over.
Oh, sorry, I had a bit of an issue there with my mic.
Darian Alfie, despite the 16 lap old hards he's got, seems to be catching Husam quite comfortably right now. Husam no damage, at least visibly on the Haas. But it does look like he's losing a bit of time to the Ferrari behind him. So I wonder what Darian's got up his sleeve. He's got his teammate behind him, and you wouldn't want to hold up your teammate at this stage of the race given the tire difference there. But as he's catching like this, maybe not too bad for Pavel here. Just follow his teammate towards the Haas and then launch a little bit of a surprise attack on Husam there for 5th place, at least for the moment. Pavel and Husam on a similar strategy to Azir. And we'll see whether that can get them into any podiums today. It's still very possible, but sort of penalty safety car dependent.
Cars getting the DRS on Mark. This is crucial. This is huge for the Alfa Romeo. He was just dancing in and around that 1 second range, and he has now gotten that DRS into turn 1 for lap 20. But it hasn't really gained him a lot.
I actually don't know if he did have it. It sort of came up there flashing orange, but in his rear wing never seemed to open. Pavel, well, he does pick off his teammate, and you'd expect to see that. Larsen as well gets XTXP for 9th place. He does have a penalty though, so that might drop him out of the points, but right now Eruption. It seems that his position is problem.
Rackety Eruption. Eruption goes through into 14th. Rackety looks back to the inside, and he jumps on the brakes earlier. Eruption goes deep. Rackety looks for an opportunity back through, and nothing doing. Pavel now. Husam wheel to wheel into the first Degner. Husam, maybe a little bit of a cut, maybe a warning. Pavel on a charge, and he is on the fresher rubber. Husam is on notice.
Pavel doing very, very well in this portion of the race, and this is what he needs to do here. Husam, his direct competition in the closing stages here at Suzuka. You can see there, Pavel's tires 2 laps fresher than Husam's as well. And in the very last few laps, that could be huge in terms of the condition of the tire and the pace of the tire, as a little bit of grass is kicked up on both the right and the left side of the track for Husam. Pavel here, patience needed to be exercised into the Castillo triangle, but as they come out here now through the final corner,
Lil Shen had a bit of a shake
17
too.
lap old hards. You can see it there, yeah, like you said, really costing him. Husam a great run for the Racing Point. It's going to be a late move, but he should be able to get it done if he goes around the outside, thinks better of it. And Lil Shen manages to secure the position. Pavel gets very close to the rear of the Haas driver, but no exchanges. But the tightness of that battle really cost him. Scars, well, he has climbed a great mountain of about a second and what was really about a lap, 2 laps strip on identical tires to Mark. How has he managed this? Maybe a little bit of ERS expenditure, and he still has the benefit of the AlphaTauri. You can see there, Mark seems to be struggling right now. Husam, Lil Shen, side by side into the hairpin. Late on the brakes around the outside. I think Lil Shen's got the tires to defend this, and he does. But Husam, desperate to... He might try it on his way into Spoon. He's looking for it around the outside, and he's not going to find it there. He really wants to get past her. He is hungry for that position.
He is massively at risk here. The longer this takes him, the worse off he is. He needs to get through on Lil Shen. If Lil Shen's putting up this much of a fight, he needs to try and get through and maybe put himself between, well, Lil Shen and Pavel there. We need Pavel to get held up a bit because he has the fresher rubber. Here goes Pavel. He looks at the inside of Husam. It's so tight here. Scars on the rear of Mark. It's going to be a move around the outside for these two. No. Scars having to hold off. Here comes Husam, Lil Shen. Husam, wheel to wheel coming through the first turn. Nothing doing just yet, and Lil Shen is putting that car right in his way, and now we've had an issue. That's a retirement for Santiago into the pit lane.
Husam struggling. He does not seem confident to make an overtake here. It really looked like he was going to get it down into turn 16, the start of the chicane at the end of the lap. He just kicked up some grass though in the braking zone, had to save the car, did well to do it, but that cost him what looked like a surefire overtake around the outside of the racing point. And he can't afford this. He needs to get past here to give himself a bit of breathing room to Pavel behind as they go down to the hairpin. Doesn't try it here again. But he's got not one, but two Ferraris. There's a huge yellow flag on the track. I think it's just Yar Santiago rejoining, but it's in Sector 3 as well. I don't quite know why the track map lit up like a Christmas tree there, but it did. And Pavel now dropping off a little bit, starting to space itself out here in the battle for fourth place. And Lil Shen is doing very, very well to keep himself up in fourth place. And this is for direct checking.
Sorry to interrupt you there. John's had an issue in Sector 1. I just saw Crampy take him. Now we have Mark Scars. Let's take a look.
Sam, looking around the outside. I think he might have got it finally, Strift, through the Casio triangle. A little bit of contact, and there's Pavel on the outside. Lil Shen accelerates back up through the inside. And Darian Alfie's on the rear of all this. Can he find anything? Pavel's Husam still side by side. They've got more pace than the racing point down into turn 1. And amazingly, we haven't seen any positions gained yet. Both cars at the front wide. Pavel looks at the inside. And after all that shift, everything stays exactly the same.
Wow, that's wild. Meanwhile, we had Scars take Mark into turn 1 around the outside. We saw Mark trying to hold that inside line, and it was a few laps where we saw it, and Scars pulled the trigger with a solid run. Pavel now on the rear of Husam. It's a lot of fighting in this midfield.
Yeah, absolutely. Pavel, directly in that midfield fight, could really finish here top 5 in the standings if he plays his cards right, and a fourth place finish would be doing wonders for that. Also worth pointing out, Scars, he's already extended that 1 second gap. You saw it. Mark was struggling on those tires, and that's great news for Scars to put that barrier between him and Azir. And the hards here have really performed well. This race, I think, will be valuable information, particularly in the chat. We've had a lot of talk about the different tire compounds here. The hards, they've been performing better apparently because of the temperature that they operate in. They don't overheat as much as the mediums here at Suzuka, and as a result, they've just managed to hold on to this pace, and that's going to see Scars here potentially win in comparison to his rival after what was a terrible start for the Alfa Romeo. We've still got 3 laps though, Strip. Plenty of time for things to change, and well, if it's going to change somewhere, this battle for fourth place is a great place to look. As Husam, he's having another look around the outside of turn 1, but yet again unsuccessful.
Oh!
But this time switches back to the inside of
up
2.
the inside.
A little bit of wheel banging. It's not going to work again though for him. He has to back out of another move. That puts Pavel on the brakes, and Larson is on the rear of all of this now, and he's been having great pace all weekend. He's caught this. That just shows how much this battle has been costing.
Pavel spun!
He slid. He's around in Dunlop, and that is the Ferrari out of this battle and pretty much out of the points. You hate to see it, but the Ferrari, his race is done here, and it's so sad in such a late stage.
That is such an unfortunate spin coming through. Dunlop, Larson, Darian Alfie. It's a fight for 6th position. Darian on the 21 lap old hards. Larson wanting to make short work of him. This has just been a thrilling race, Unicorn. Absolutely thrilling. Mark is still holding within a second of Scars, which is something to keep note of as they are about to come through into the start-finish straight. And Azir might win this race, ladies and gentlemen. He has some very good tires right now, and he is very close to these drivers on the 25th lap.
I don't know what he did in that last lap, but it was quite something here as Larson not quite got the run on Darian Alpha he would have wanted, but here pushing with ERS, he's gaining back on the Ferrari. Darian though has a rear wing open as a result of Husam Lil Shen, Yusam both a little bit wide. Doesn't cost anyone anything. But this battle for fourth place has been absolutely thrilling so far in this race, and it doesn't seem to be going anywhere until the checkered flag is waved. Azir, he's caught yet again to the cars ahead, really gaining. And on 12 lap old mediums, you can see that later pit stop here has worked wonders for Azir. The Spaniard now really applying pressure to Mark. Scars, well, he's dancing on that 1 second window and just delaying the time it takes for Azir to get DRS on him could be the difference between beating his championship rival and losing to him, being the runner-up in this race. Husam on Lil Shen. This could be the run he needs here. Maybe he can get it into Spoon, but backs out again. Husam, no real confidence in the car, it would seem, to overtake. He is running on 14 lap old mediums. You can understand the caution as Azir is very close to go for the inside. Down into turn 16 in the Williams. Well, he picks him off for P2, and now he's got DRS. I don't think... Well, it will be on Scars, actually, I think. It is, because Mark's got DRS as well.
He's on an absolute charge. Shen now. Husam, they're finally getting this exchange. Here it goes, Husam. Darian Alfie's on the rear of this. Lil Shen with no DRS. I think he might drop to the Ferrari here, and here we go. Darian Alfie, Lil Shen, wheel to wheel on a drag race into turn 1, and it's Darian Alfie through on the inside. How is the traction going to go for these two hard runners? Husam in 4th, Darian through in 5th. Wow. What racing we're seeing here. We are now into the penultimate lap of this race. Azir within half a second range as we come through into the hairpin on Scars.
Yeah, absolutely, and you've got to say that moves look like it's been coming for quite some time, but Husam timed it perfectly there, and Patience really helping him out. Lil Shen under a lot of pressure now from the cars behind. His tires seem to have gone. There goes Atom, though, on Larsen down into the hairpin, really taking advantage of the queue that's been formed here. And on these 14 lap hold hard sister, he could pick up some brilliant places in the closing stage of this race. The McLaren, he's got no penalties for his name right now, but it's eyes on Azir as he runs at Scars. We saw him make the move into Casio this time last lap on Mark. I don't think he's going to try it on Scars. I think he's going to try and get the Alfa Romeo done into turn 1, a little tap to the rear. Nothing too bad for Scars there coming of it. But now DRS, ERS for the Williams. Scars has got nothing in the battery. 6%, 3%. He's dropping, and there goes Azir, championship leader, passes Scars, who's P2. And for Scars, the strategy was working so well. He now drops to P2, and it would seem that the Spaniard is going to take P1 here. It's the last lap shift, and it doesn't look like there's anything Scars could do about it.
Here goes Angel on the rear of Pavel as we have an exchange. It's Lil Shen and Adam, a bit of a ghosting situation here for Lil Shen. Not something we see all the time considering it's disabled, but there might have been connection issue there. I'm not entirely sure. Angel, Pavel, wheel to wheel as we come through out of turn 1. A very tight battle unfolding here for the Spaniard versus the Ferrari. And of course, we're on the final lap of this race, and I greatly appreciate everybody viewing in, and I hope I've been all right with the cameras this evening. There's been a lot of action all over this grid, and we've got one camera to work with.
Yeah, and it's Scars now pushing with what little battery he has left. The fuel lights waving for both drivers. They're both now empty. Azir 2%. Scars literally 0. Nothing left in it. It goes down into Casio for the last time, but he's got nothing he could do against the Spaniard. Azir comes around the final corner and it's to the line. The Spaniard wins ahead of Scars. It's 1-2 in the championship. It's going to remain that way as the Spaniard wins here in Japan. Darian Alfie adds him in the last corner. They're exchanging. And could Lil Shen find it around the outside? He can. Max O'Connor at 2 up the inside on the last corner.
I think that McLaren was out of fuel. I think he ran out of fuel.
He had contact, I think, with Darian Alfie. He lost an end plate, I think, in the Casio triangle. I'm not entirely sure what happened there going in and through the triangle, but out of it, well, 4 cars just exchanged positions on the last corner.
What a race. What a race. That was a thrilling campaign. We're going to have interviews from Azir, Scars, and Mark in just a few moments. Holy smokes.
That's absolutely incredible. And just look at the tires. You can really see the different strategies that are played out here. But ultimately, it was the soft medium that came out on top. And it's the Williams of Azir back to winning ways, his 5th win of the season. We haven't seen him win since France, where it was 3 back-to-back, Azerbaijan, Canada, France. But there he is, back on the top step, where we've seen him multiple times before.
Just a great, thrilling race. Mark coming through in the chat there, 82% at the end there for him on his tires. And those drives are definitely not easy when you have tire deg that high. That is for sure. But there we have it. Azir from 4th takes the win for Spain and Williams today at 29.099. His fastest run around the Suzuka International Racing Course. It was Scars who started in 3rd, the South African claiming 2nd this evening, and it was Mark, the British driver in the AlphaTauri. He started in 5th, and he collects 3rd. What a podium it was. Husam from 8th to 4th. Darian from 11th to 5th after a very, very solid drive, and it was Lil Shen 9th to 6th. Max O'Connor, a stellar performance. He moves from 17th all the way to 7th. What a position gain for him. And Atom from 15th all the way to 8th. We have Larsen. Not the best drive from him today, unfortunately, or maybe just getting caught up in some drama there for him. The Danish driver finishing 9th from the front row, and it was XTXP from 14th. In the Renault, collecting the final point in contention here. We also saw Pavel, Eruption, Rackety, Angel, Crampy, Swifty John, as well as Jean, Santiago, Tuptus, and Aliens in the grid. What a race. What a race. Thrilling stuff. Very thankful for that one.
Yeah, brilliant. You just tier 2 very much delivered there, and in a grid that's got such a close championship fight. Well, they've just extended it a little bit more with Scars coming P2 behind us here. The gap extends just that tiny bit more, and that makes it a little bit harder for Scars to, envision winning this one overall. It's still possible, though, for the South African. But, my oh my, Striff, it's going to go down to the wire, and you love championships that go down to the wire, and it's just, what more could we ask for after that one and after the season that we've had? 4 weeks to go, and I think we've got time, or it's time for some interviews.
Yes. I am feeling good. Not gonna lie, I thought, I don't know about my race pace because I was doing a lot of quali practice, but I managed to keep Scars behind for a while. In the end, I had too much tire wear, so I had to kind of just sit back. But it was a really, really thrilling race. I'm sure you guys had a good watch, and hopefully there'll be more in the future.
Yeah, hopefully. Thank you everyone in the chat for letting me know I was muted on the stream side of things. I was just asking Mark how his race went and giving him, of course, another congratulations on the finish on the podium. 2 now in a row, and now next week we move on over to the United States of America for the COTA circuit. Feeling good?
Yes.
Feeling good for that race?
I don't want to sound like cocky because, that's always a jinx, like commentators curse or, speaking bad things. But I do like USA. I do like the high-speed tracks. So just get the practice done and hopefully I can come away with another good result.
It was a solid race from you today, and hopefully we can see that form continue through into the next round. Congratulations and thanks, Mark.
See, thank you.
Next up, we've been seeing a lot of this man recently here, and it was a couple of wins in a row and now another podium. Not the win you wanted today, however, it was a great race overall, and I'd say you had a solid recovery drive. Once again, it seems to be your forte. Scars, how are you feeling?
Pretty good, I guess. Of course, it could have been more if I didn't get spun out on the first lap last year. But it is what it is. We'll see how the stewards take that, but I'm pretty happy with where I finished because found myself last and turned around backwards at the end of the first lap. So it was pretty good pitting for hards and then going to the end. It was a bit stressful with the tires because they were near puncture range. So, but yeah, it's a good result.
Great race from you. How does this race and how does this race and this result shape you for this next round? You mentioned that you're going to have to look at some things and go over some stuff with stewards, but that stuff aside, confident for the United States next week?
It's a truck I like. Yeah, I've practiced it a lot. I drive a lot of laps around there just for fun, so I'm pretty confident going into there. Yeah, it's a nice little track to drive.
Thank you so much, Scars, and congratulations again on another podium. And we'll hope to see you perform and continue that form in the United States next week.
Cheers.
All right, that was Scars. And now we have, once again, our championship leader. It is the Spaniard of Azir. Welcome back and congratulations. I'm going to hand it off to Unicorn as usual, but just a great drive here through Suzuka.
Azir, congratulations. It's double digits. It's your 10th podium of the season, your 5th win. How does that feel? Congratulations. How are you feeling after what was a very, very action-packed race, not only from your point of view, but for a whole race as a whole?
Yes, right now I don't believe this. It was a very difficult race, and yeah, I knew that I would be able to arrive in the last laps, but I didn't expect that I could overtake Mark and Scar so fast. So I'm very happy to have been able to get another win and on one of my worst tracks.
Well, for one of your worst tracks, there really was some incredible pace in that car. You know, you mentioned the last few laps there. Obviously, there was an incident on the first lap. Scars, all the way down in 20th position. After the pit window, though, saw him fighting up for the lead. But on those last few laps, the pace you had, the speed at which you were catching in the last 3 laps was absolutely incredible. Were you just saving, fuel, ERS until those few laps, or was that just tire advantage? Talk us through those last few laps.
I last about last 4 laps, I was pushing so much the battery and getting all my pace because I knew that their tires were done. So I don't know. I think it was risky to pit at lap 1 for hards, and yeah, mediums were better, and yeah.
Well, it worked out for you. The strategy here, sticking with that original plan for the soft medium. This, of course, extends your championship, lead over Scars is a very important result there. We've got 4 rounds left. Of course, next week we're going to the USA. How are you looking for that track? And, are you confident you can keep, Scars at bay over the next few weeks?
USA, it's a track that I like so much, so I don't know. I think I can do a good race.
Well, we look forward to seeing it. Azir, congratulations, your 5th win of the season. Enjoy it. Congratulations, and I'm sure we'll be speaking to you at some point over the remaining 4 races of the season.
Thanks so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Azir, our race winner here in Suzuka, and that is going to wrap up our coverage for round 18. Of course, we are going to be back tomorrow, Unicorn and I, for the Tier 1 racing action here once again around Japan. That will be same time, same place, 8 p.m. British Summer Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, and that will be, of course, tomorrow here on twitch.tv/MisfitsRL. Join us in the Discord if you're interested in racing or interested in making some friends to go racing with. We have a great community with a ton of community races happening on the side of course, the league happening week to week. We have some events coming up, and a massive shout out to our partners, Next Level Racing. I do believe that is it, but if not, Unicorn, any last messages for our viewers before we head out with a raid?
Oh, it was just a great race, one that we will, look back on, and it might have been, just decisive in that championship, and it'll be immortalized, of course, over on the YouTube channel where all of our race replays, highlights, track guides can be found, as well as the APAC and F2 streams on a Sunday. But other than that, that's it from me. A great race. You know, tier 2, as always, sets the bar high for tier 1, and that always delivers. You said it. We'll be back tomorrow. But until then, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.
We are back. We are back with some tier 1 action.
And notice the AlphaTauri of Adrian straight head on into the Red Bull. And the Kai Bacchini has joined the party, and he's on these medium compound tires in the Merc. Is very late braking from the Ferrari. He locks up and he blocks Zamis. And who is that? That is Jean with a fantastic exit, and he is going to get ahead of both of them here. So I believe it's crossing the line now, checkered flag. Adam and Bajarn, the first two to catch it early. Vettel now rounding the final 2 turns of 22 and 23 here in Singapore. The Racing Points collect the 1-2. Battery, there goes Ben the Bear now just ahead, taking the checkered flag, coming through the Casio triangle. It's still wheel to wheel between these two. Mick out with a great traction. Oh, what a run out of the chicane, and he gets it done. How's the exit for the Ferrari? Good so far. You can see wheel to wheel coming down the straight into turn 4. It's the Ferrari leading through. Ben, wheel to wheel now with Revo, and he has so much pace in this Racing Point right now. It's wheel to wheel between these two. How's somebody gonna go? He's drifted off. Does the exit? What an exit out of the Williams. Does he get him there? There's a big snap. Looking on the inside of 8 and 9. It's the Mercedes coming around the outside of 9. Does he get this move done on Tim? This is huge. This is absolutely massive. A drag race coming through 10 now, down into 11. Here we go, and Zamis has the popcorn.
So Yuki tries to turn in, and Domi just says,
Oh, the stars.
Goes for a second.
What a move from the stars. That is the Renault of Van Putten up the inside of the Williams into turn 1. Freeware's gonna get Yoda. Freeware's gonna get Yoda.
Yoda wins the race!